Latoshia Daniels knocked on the door of Pastor Brodes Perry. The pastor wasn't there, but his wife Tabitha was, and she invited Latoshia inside. Then later on, the pastor returned home. It turned into a house full of tension. And as Latoshia was being walked out, she turned and exclaimed, "You broke my heart," to the pastor, then pulled out a gun and shot him to death. Tabitha was also shot, but she survived. Now Latoshia Daniels is on trial, charged with murder, and tonight all the evidence is in, and we take a look at the closing arguments. Will the defense raise a reasonable doubt? What will the jury do? Meanwhile, in Las Vegas, the brutal death of 46-year-old Jonathan Willett stunned even seasoned detectives. Found in August of 2023 with his body decapitated and chemically burned, Willett had been romantically involved with actress-turned-adult performer Devin Michaels. Together, they were raising two young girls until they broke up when Devin started seeing Jonathan's son from another mother, who she then married. Prosecutors say Devin killed Jonathan, but she's pointing the finger at Devier, who is Jonathan's son and Devin's husband. Will the jury see a reasonable doubt? Tonight we break it all down. But first, it's a story shaking Cleveland and the nation. Two children, just 9 and 10 years old, now facing shocking adult-like charges. Prosecutors say the pair lured a 5-year-old girl into a field where she was brutally attacked, beaten, and left bloodied and bruised. The victim's mother says her little girl was found nearly unrecognizable, her tiny body covered in scratches, debris, and blood. Both suspects are charged with attempted murder, rape, kidnapping, and assault. Charges rarely seen for children so young. Police say the case has been handed to Cleveland's Sex Crimes and Child Abuse Unit as investigators piece together how something so violent, so unimaginable could happen between children. Tonight, the 10-year-old girl makes her first court appearance, and we will show you what happened. Good evening, I'm Vinnie Politan. Welcome to Closing Arguments, and we begin this Friday night with breaking news. And yes, word in, a verdict has been reached in Tennessee in the case of the pastor who was shot and killed by his girlfriend, Latoshia Daniels. His wife, Tabitha, also shot. She survived. The pastor did not. Latoshia Daniels charged with first-degree murder, facing the rest of her life in prison. Let's take you inside the courtroom right now as we get ready to hear the jury's verdict. There are some lesser-included possibilities here of second-degree murder, manslaughter, criminal reckless homicide. All of those, something that the defense is looking for, because if it's first degree, it is game over for this defendant. The rest of her life, she'll be locked up. Anything less than first degree, she'll have a chance to get out someday. The defense in this case, they admit that she shot and killed the pastor.
I understand the jury has reached.
Let's take a listen.
Ms. Tarver, you will be. You can stand and read the verdict. You should look verdict form.
Do I need to start from State of Tennessee versus? Okay. State of Tennessee versus Latoshia Daniels, indictment number 25-01253. Verdict form count 1. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of second-degree murder as included in count 1 of indictment number 25-01253. State of Tennessee versus Latoshia Daniels, indictment number 25-01253, verdict form count 2. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of reckless endangerment as included in count 2 of indictment number 25-01253. State of Tennessee versus Latoshia Daniels, indictment number 25-01253, verdict form count 3. We, the jury, find the defendant not guilty in count 3 of indictment number 25-01253.
Would you like the jury poll?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'll start on this end. Is that your verdict?
Yes.
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 Is that your verdict? Is that your verdict?
Yes.
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 Now that you have concluded your service on this case, I thank you for your patience and conscientious attention to your duty as jurors. You have not only fulfilled your civic duty, but you have also made a personal contribution to the ideal of equal justice for all people. You may have questions about the confidentiality of the proceedings. Because the case is over, you are free to discuss the case with any person you choose. However, you do not have to talk to anyone about the case if you do not want to. If you tell someone you do not wish to talk about it and they continue to bother you, let the court know, for we can protect your privacy. If you do decide to discuss the case with anyone, I would suggest you treat it with a degree of solemnity, so that whatever you say, you will be willing to say in the presence of your fellow jurors or under oath here in open court in the presence of all the parties. Also, if you do decide to discuss the case, please respect the privacy of the views of your fellow jurors. Your fellow jurors fully and freely stated their opinions and deliberations with the understanding they were being expressed in confidence. Again, I thank you for your willingness to give up your time away from your accustomed pursuits and faithfully discharge your duties as jurors. You are now excused. I will be back to speak with you shortly, so I'll show you excused to the jury room. Ms. Daniels, if you would please stand. A jury of your peers has found you guilty of second-degree murder in count 1. The jury has found you guilty in count 2 of reckless endangerment, and the jury has found you not guilty in count 3. As a 13th juror, I approve that verdict. We'll show your bond revoked, and we'll show this matter set for sentencing.
Thank you.
January the 12th. Is that the good one?
We'll need to do a pre-sentence report. If we could get a shorter date to get the pre-sentence report back.
Okay.
That way we don't have to reset it once we get it.
Okay.
We can reserve January the 12th and
Just
then get a sooner date for the report.
Actually hoping to be in Cabo that week.
On January 12th?
I'm hoping.
Okay.
December.
We can get a December date and then pick a date this time. It's just to get the report.
December 17th.
December the 17th, a good day. All right.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, we'll show this matter set for sentencing on December the 17th. All right, we can show court adjourned.
All right. This all the court stands adjourned till Monday morning, 9 a.m.
Another Friday verdict on Court TV. Second-degree murder conviction for Latoshia Daniels. You have to look at that as a victory. Everything is relative. Everything is relative. She was facing first degree. The allegation was premeditated murder. They had her on video purchasing the gun. She brought the gun to the pastor's house. She took the gun out when she was leaving, pointed it at the pastor, shot and killed him. And she was found I guess not guilty of first degree, but guilty of second degree. The defense, in their closing argument, wanted something less, like manslaughter, but the jury came back. So 15 to 25 years for that is what Latoshia Daniels is facing instead of life. She'll have another chance here. She has an opportunity to potentially get out of prison. Now, 2 convictions, though. There's a second count, and that is a 3 to 15 for the criminal attempted reckless homicide or reckless endangerment. And that's for shooting Tabitha, the pastor's wife. So the jury clearly was moved to some extent by the testimony of this defendant and the evidence in the case. Prosecutors, again, premeditation. She went to the store to buy the gun. She brought the gun to the pastor's house. She got mad. She was upset. And she's leaving and she shot him, and it's a second-degree conviction. Here she is buying that gun. It's not like she always carried a gun, had a gun with her, and she just lost her mind. No, she bought the gun for a reason, and I guess the jury believed that the reason she bought the gun was to take her own life, which she never took. She killed the pastor. Let's bring in our think tank on this Friday night verdict. Criminal defense attorney Josh Colesrud is with us, along with entertainment host Holland Reed. Great to see you both tonight. Josh, let's break this down first. I speak with criminal defense attorneys all the time, and I say, don't you get tired of losing all your cases? But criminal defense attorneys look at things differently. Just because someone says guilty doesn't mean that it's a loss. And I think most criminal defense attorneys would mark this one off as some sort of a victory for them tonight with a second-degree murder conviction. What do you think?
That's absolutely right, Vinny. And, when you look at this case, first off, you'd like to think that the human heart is reasonable, right? But we all know that that simply isn't the case with a lot of people, that certain people live in the moment through their entire body. They bleed fire. They don't bleed tears, for example. And here, as a lawyer, it seemed like the verdict was pretty simple, that the defendant shot the victim in this case, the first victim, and then reloaded the weapon and then attempted to fire again. For a lawyer, it seems like, well, she had an opportunity to see what was going on, to reflect, and then she decided to attempt to fire the weapon again. But jurors aren't necessarily going to think about it that way. They're much more attuned to reality. And reality says there's a human component here. There's an emotional component here, that a person who is distraught, who's devastated by the actions of a lover or a former lover, somebody who she's had a romantic relationship with and who doesn't feel like she's being treated the way that she wants to be treated, can have a breakdown. She's drowning in her emotions, which was what the defense was selling here, and the jury bought it.
Holland Reed, your thoughts tonight, and in the purchase of the gun, the explanation was, I was going to take my own life. She read her suicide note to the jury, the suicide that never happened, but there she is. She read her suicide note to this jury, and she was extremely emotional throughout it, and I think a lot of people who are listening to it also were moved to a certain extent. What are your thoughts tonight as we have this woman whose heart was broken, but ended up shooting the man who broke her heart and will someday have an opportunity to get out of prison? I think you're muted. Is there anything on your end? Let's check.
I can jump in here.
Well, we're not getting. Go ahead, Josh. Well, as Holland gets we fix her microphone, we'll go to you, Josh. Go ahead. Sure.
So, in cases like this, it's always unexpected when a jury does something that you kind of feel is not the correct verdict, because in this case, the the defendant had time to reload the weapon. So you kind of have to ask yourself, what was going through the jurors' minds when they decided that this was second-degree murder. That is, that it was impulsive, that there wasn't knowledge of forethought, that she wasn't pre-planning this, despite the idea that she wanted to commit suicide. And you think that if she wanted to commit suicide, that she's planned it out, that she's told other people that could corroborate that she was going to do this. But we didn't hear evidence of that. Yeah, sure, there was a note, but when was that written? And in relation to what happened. So in other words, the jury in this case is seeing this emotionally. They're on a more human level than I think most attorneys do.
Yeah, let's take a listen to that suicide note, because the suicide note she wrote may have actually saved her life. Let's watch.
I'm sorry that I have let you down. I tried my best to be the person you all thought I was. I tried to be the person you could count on and be proud of. However, I have been depressed for a long time. I did well with coping until the past 2 years. My world changed February 24th, 2017. And the just keeps getting worse.
And I believe that moment is what saved her here. Because as a result, and they also found her not guilty of the third count, which was the use of a weapon. Like, I don't understand that. That's how the pastor died. It was a gun that was used. But it's clear that this jury was sending a message that they don't want her sent away for the rest of her life. They want her to have an opportunity for a second chance, and she may very well get that. Sentencing is on December 17th. When we come back, we are going to talk about a shocking story involving a 10-year-old defendant, a 5-year-old victim, and we've got cameras in the courtroom for it. Plus, coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan investigates a mother's cross-country drive, ends in heartbreak and mystery. Melody Buzzard vanished, and now her mom won't talk. And breaking tonight, Ashley Buzzard is under arrest. Will this lead to an answer? Tonight, we investigate.
Here you are, responsible for the lifelong torment of an entire family. Is that evil in your mind now? So now you've taken her mother's life, and you heroically step in to console her.
I knew it was wrong, but yeah, I still did it.
Did you murder her mother to try and drive her back into your arms? Oh my God.
Interview with a Killer. New episode Saturday night at 8 Eastern and Pacific, only on Court TV.
It's a real quiet, empty street for the most part, but it is a lot of kids that's down there on that other end. It's just disturbing to know that it's kids that's on my street that's young enough to know to do stuff like that.
And the stuff like that are things you will not, I mean, this is probably the most shocking level of behavior we've ever seen from, I guess we call them defendants. Defendants, like 10 years old, 9 years old, a 5-year-old victim. These are little kids who should be out playing kickball and dodgeball in the street and, jumping rope and having fun. Instead, what is alleged here is really beyond. It is beyond anything you would ever expect. Nadine Abusada from Scripps News Group has all the details tonight.
This type of behavior doesn't deserve grace. They knew what they were doing, and they was okay with that. They even played after not caring about my baby
For the first time since Antavia Kennebrew says her 5-year-old daughter was assaulted in a field, she sat in the same courtroom as the 10-year-old girl accused of the attack.
Since this horrific act was done to her, she just been going through it, and that's how it should be for her offenders.
Today, Judge Kristen Sweeney arraigned the 10-year-old girl who appeared in juvenile court with a mask and hooded puffy coat.
This is going to be a very short hearing where I'm going to go over your rights with you.
She faces a list of charges including attempted murder, rape, felonious assault, kidnapping, and strangulation.
We have filed a competency motion as we do have significant concerns for her ability to understand the statutory language of the complaint as well as her legal rights in the proceedings today.
While the judge granted that motion, the prosecution asked that the 10-year-old be placed on house arrest with an ankle monitor.
They should not get grace or a break to return home and get prepared for their lives to change, because not only did they been given enough time already, nothing prepared my baby for her life to be changed. She didn't get time.
The defense argued against the ankle monitor, referencing court Monday, where they said the child has faced threats at school, crowds at her home, and that the family has since moved for safety reasons.
If she is put on ankle monitor, that will become public knowledge, and if that is, and if someone figures out where she is living and they know that she is court ordered to be there, that could pose a potential safety risk to her and her family.
But Judge Sweeney ordered that house arrests and an ankle monitor are necessary.
One is the serious nature of these charges. Secondly, and I'm just going to note this for the record, we don't have a parent present in court today for MH. And so I am not sure what the living circumstances are outside of what was discussed in the closure hearing.
So what's next? The 10-year-old girl will now undergo a competency evaluation, and there will be a hearing to follow. Now regarding the 9-year-old boy accused as well. He did not appear in court today due to a family member having car issues. His hearing was rescheduled to next week. Now, if he doesn't appear again, the judge will issue a warrant for his arrest. Reporting in Cleveland, Izina Busada, News 5.
Disturbing on many, many levels, but there's a whole lot that we just learned right there that we need to talk about. Let's bring back in our think tank. We've got a full tank now. Josh Colesrud still with us. Claudia King, former law enforcement officer, host of the Strong Enough podcast, and Holland Reed, entertainment host. Holland, let me start with you. No parents were there. This 10-year-old girl is facing murder, attempted rape, all these horrific charges, and not one parent is in the courtroom with her? Should we look any further to the reason all this is happening?
Vinnie, that was the absolute statement that stood out more than anything. There was no one there to advocate for this 10-year-old. Who did it to her? How did she learn this? What happened to her? Hurt people hurt people. Hurt children hurt people. This is a 10-year-old. Her life is not over at 10 years old. While I grieve for the mother of the victim, I do not believe that this child should not be given grace, because something happened to that 10-year-old child. And if it's not discussed, the system has failed the child, the victim, and unfortunately, the criminal. I hate to
I don't know the word
that.
we use. You know, we could say juvenile delinquent, but she may not even be competent to face those charges because of the age. They generally, 10 years old is really young to understand what's going on here. Claudia King, let me ask you. There's a couple things here. There's two things. There's the issue, she doesn't have parents there. Mom wants justice because her 5-year-old has been absolutely devastated by this. And it was the 10-year-old, the 9-year-old, and there were some other children also part of the gang that attacked her, but they're even younger and unable to be brought into this courtroom. So you've got that. Plus, we also learn here that the 10-year-old was still attending school.
I don't even know what to think, Vinnie. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. And I agree and disagree with Holland, because I do think this child is clearly suffering from some type of issues that made her do this. Where did she learn this? How did these things even come to her mind? But at the same time, we do have this little 5-year-old victim who was scalped. I don't know if you guys could see that in that one photo, but her mother said, you know, part of her head was actually scalped. So this is absolutely disgusting and reprehensible behavior by these children. And I'm horrified that 9 and 10-year-olds, and as you just said, even younger, thought to do this and thought it was okay. This is horrible, Vinnie. I don't know what to say.
Josh, wrap it up for us. We have about a minute left here.
Yeah, sure. I like what Holland has to say, but I respectfully disagree with her. And I want to take it a step further than Claudia. And that is, you know, these children, the 9 and 10-year-old, are a substantial danger to the community. They dominated this innocent 5-year-old girl, raped her, tortured her, scalped her, and left her for dead. You know, they shouldn't be anywhere near other children. And the fact that they're crying about an ankle monitoring device, it's like, well, excuse me, you know, your choices matter here. You know, you very well can end up in prison for that until you're 21 years old because of the way Ohio laws work.
We're out of time for this segment, but when we come back, the defendant's husband, victim's son testify, but it's the same person. We're taking you to Vegas next.
On August 7th of 2023, the defendant, Devin Michaels, brutally murdered and savaged the body of her ex, Jonathan Millett. But the story did not begin on August 7th of 2023, and all I can say is buckle up because you're in for a wild ride. The victim had full physical custody of the girls. You will learn that the defendant was not happy about that situation, that the defendant wanted to have control of her girls, and she wanted to start a new life with Debbie Eyre, the same Debbie Eyre that is John's son. That at the time of the murder, she was giving John a massage on the bed. While he was lying on his stomach, the defendant got up, walked over to the fireplace, and grabbed a large, what she referred to as a stick or maybe a candle holder. It's a large, heavy object. John was lying on his stomach, not a threat, in the midst of a massage, face down, unexpected, and the defendant admits that she returned to the bed, bashed him over the head with that club or stick.
This marriage of convenience is belied by the facts. You have to ask yourself as these facts unfold, why is Debbie Eyre covering for Debbie Eyre? And why is Devin covering for Debbie Eyre?
Wild love triangle out in Vegas. The defendant accused of killing her ex. Her ex's son is her husband. His name is Debbie Eyre. So Devin Michaels, the porn star defendant, killed the man she had 2 children with, and she then married his child from a previous relationship. That man's name is Debbie Eyre. She's pointing the finger at him as being the actual killer. So she's pointing the finger at her husband, who is the victim's son. I hope you followed that. By the way, this is the second time we've covered a case involving a porn star in the courtroom. The last time was a guy named Robert Baker. Remember him? He was sleeping with Monica Cementelli, who he and her planned the murder of her husband, Fabio Cementelli. Oh, a little fun fact here. That porn star, Robert Baker, you know who he used to be married to? Devin Michaels, the defendant in this case. Can't make it up. All right, Debbie Eyre took the stand. Remember, this is the person the defense is pointing the finger at. Here's the cross-examination.
Page 5, you're asked, and then I guess, so your mom tells us that he was gonna move in here. What's that arrangement? And you said she was gonna tell me to move out, or she was gonna give me some time, but he needed to get out of Yoko's house, and she was gonna let him stay here, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then you were gonna move out, and you say, correct?
Yes, sir.
So you're telling the detective who you speak to for the first time that you knew that Dad was pushing you out and that you were moving out of the house, correct?
I was told that the day before.
Page 7, detective asks again, trying to clarify this relationship and what's really going on. So he asks you, so I didn't know, but you're saying that you guys are married more out of convenience, not like you guys actually love each other. And you respond, yeah, we don't. It's not like that. It's out of convenience. Correct?
Yes, sir.
That was a lie, wasn't it?
No, sir.
So you're telling us that you were telling this detective the truth?
Yes, sir.
Then the detective asks you, but do you guys sleep in the same room? And you say no, correct?
Yes, sir.
You guys actually did sleep in the same room. You slept in the same bed, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
But when he asked if you two slept in the same room, you said no, correct?
Yes, sir.
Then he asks you, are you guys intimate at all? And you say no, correct?
Yes, sir.
That wasn't true, was it?
No, sir.
Fair to say that you were downplaying your feelings for your wife when this detective came to ask you about the murder of your father.
Yes, sir, because I didn't know what actually happened to my father.
Please say it again.
Yes, sir, because I didn't actually know what happened to my father.
Okay. But you're lying to the police officer about your relationship with your wife, correct?
Yes, sir.
You were asked again by Detective Ozai, well, since you knew you were moving out, where are you going to move to? And you tell him, and this is page 12, counsel, yeah, like I have some friends down the street that I could roommate with, correct?
Yes, sir.
That made you angry, didn't it?
Yes, sir.
I mean, you've been in this house with your wife, your dad's moving in, and you have to leave. You're telling us that didn't make you angry?
No, sir.
Now, today you testified that you'd worked the day before, August 6th, correct?
Yes, sir.
But you were actually off the day before, correct? You didn't work on August 6th.
I was drinking a lot, I don't remember.
And then you're asked by the detective, counsel, this on page 18, is there anything you can think of that you haven't told me that you think might be important for us to know? And you say, correct?
Yes, sir.
So they're there trying to figure out this dynamic, and you've lied to them about the relationship that you have with your wife, and you've lied to them about the living arrangement where you're getting kicked out by your father, correct? He's moving you out.
Yes, sir, because I didn't know what exactly had happened.
You installed that one, correct?
Yes, sir.
You know what kind of camera that is, correct?
That's also one camera.
I mean, you were good at what you did, correct?
Yes, sir.
And installing the home entertainment systems, I mean, you just saw us all. You cut through 2x4s, you cut through drywall, things like that, correct?
Not 2x4s, it was just drywall.
Okay. But you had tools, you had saws, you had electric-powered saws, correct?
No, just the drywall saw. That was another.
And it's your testimony, Mr. Giordani asked you, it's your testimony that you didn't kill your father, is that correct?
I did not kill my father.
You left your home that night, didn't you?
Objection, what night?
The night of the 7th. Well, the early morning hours of August 7th, correct?
2023.
2023.
To go to work?
No. You left the house in the dark at 2 a.m., correct?
No, sir.
You'd been on your phone. You were looking at pictures of you and Devin, correct?
I don't remember.
You left that home. You went to the Palo Verde residence, didn't you? The Palo Verde residence.
No, sir. If you're talking about the night that my father was murdered,
Yeah.
I was home with the girls. We watched a movie. I put them to sleep. I received a text her letting her know that I put them to sleep, and I went to sleep myself.
And that's your testimony under oath, correct?
Yes, sir.
Like the testimony under oath that you'd given to the grand jury previously, correct?
Yes, sir.
You'll agree with me that you'll lie under oath if it fits you.
No, sir. I became a very big alcoholic.
Okay.
It's a little fuzzy, but I will answer truthfully to what I did.
But you'd agree with me that you were an alcoholic before that day and you had a drinking problem, correct? Before August 7th, 2023.
Yes.
In fact, it became a really big point of contention between you and your wife, correct?
Yes.
The actions.
He drinks a lot. He lies a lot. Is he reasonable doubt here, Claudia King? Does it sound like he could potentially raise a doubt for this jury about who actually killed and decapitated his father?
And we still don't have the father's head, as I understand it. You know, Vinnie, my thought is that they may have done it together. So I don't know that he raises reasonable doubt that she was not involved. But if he's supposed to be the prosecution's star witness to convict Devin, he's not a star in any way, but I don't think it brings up reasonable doubt. I think it just brings up the question, why isn't he charged as well?
Holland, what do you think?
Excuse me, Vinnie. I'm agreeing with Claudia completely. This seems like a collaborative effort to mask something bigger. This is bizarro town. It's weird. It doesn't make any sense. It seems like a lot of grooming involved, a lot of manipulation involved, and alcohol being involved, and then him not remembering or blacking out goes with a story. I'm just going to agree with Claudia and pass it over to Josh so I can clear my throat.
Clear your throat. This is tough stuff. This is this is one of those trials we only get out of Vegas, Josh, by the way. Your thoughts here.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree with Claudia and Holland, of course. The best teammates a guy could ever ask for. But I would like to add that this case does look like it was committed by two people that had the same motive. You know, obviously, Devin had some daddy issues, and, you know, the defendant in this case didn't want the new relationship to develop, apparently. Now, the only reason why I think that the defendant was charged instead of Devin was because she said that she had hit Jonathan, the victim, over the head with some sort of object. So the prosecutor knows that there was violence and that she was there to commit that violence. You know, what happened afterwards is anybody's guess. This is really, really messy.
Beyond messy, who do you think what does the jury do with this relationship, Claudia? She's definitely older than her husband, right? But her husband is the son of the man who she had a family with. It's strange. What does the jury do with that fact?
I mean, I hope they have a flow chart to figure it all out and something to hang up in the jury room so that they can remember the who's who of this family. But it doesn't play well, definitely, for the defendant or the son, since the defendant is the one currently on trial. You know, I don't think it gives her any points with the jury. I think it makes her look extremely bad. And so I think it points not in her favor, but in the favor of the prosecution and a guilty verdict in the end.
All right, Holland, now that you had some time to clear up, and this is one that'll choke you up a little bit, but the way I do the calculations, those little girls, their brother is also their stepfather.
That is the most disturbing and sickening part of all of this. This is like this Oedipus twisted, complex Greek theater play that we're watching play out. Court TV and you, Vinnie, produce this because this is a made-for-TV scenario. This is something you cannot make up, and it's one of those scenarios where he's giving like these droplets of information, but it's not adding up. And then the mother, and then the wife, and then the stepmother, and then that's the person that's involved in all of this. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. So write the script. I'm signing up to watch it.
Yeah, there's a moral to this story, or there are no morals in this story. It's one or the other. Josh Colesrud, Claudia King, Holland Reed, great to have you on this Friday night. All right, we have a Court TV programming note. You ready? High-profile attorney Alan Jackson, you remember he represented Karen Reed, will join me for an in-depth, hour-long interview. Alan Jackson currently representing Frazier Bohm. He's accused of driving more than 100 miles per hour through Malibu, California, slamming into 4 sorority sisters, killing all of them. We'll get the inside scoop on this trial right here on Court TV Monday night at 9 on Vinnie Politan Investigates. When we come back, something else you need to know, plus coming up next hour. Tonight on Vinnie Politan Investigates, she set out on a simple road trip with her 9-year-old daughter, but only one came home. Detectives say Ashley Buzzard's silence speaks volumes. And breaking tonight, Ashley Buzzard is under arrest. Will this lead to an answer about what happened to her daughter, Melody? Tonight, we investigate.
Join Court TV's Vinnie Politan with the latest and breaking true crime stories.
Now, let's look at the other side of all of that.
Vinnie Politan Investigates tonight, 9/8 Central, only on Court TV.
Sunday nights on Court TV. Join us for a night of food, friends, and our favorite legal dramas. It's Order in the Court, and this week we're binge watching Bull, Sundays on Court TV. Time to reveal something else you need to know tonight. Let's take a look at the big board, and what do we have? Into the arms of SWAT. This one comes straight from the We Don't Catch the Smart Ones file. Deputies received a report about a stolen F-350. It was seen purchasing lumber at a Home Depot. Then they saw it in a driveway. They confronted the man. He barricaded himself inside of a house. They tried to get him out. SWAT surrounded the house. And then this happened.
He's coming. Drag him out! Drag him out! Stand up! Stand up! Stand up! Come on, stand up!
Great job by the folks down in Osceola County, Florida. Okay, folks, we have a missing child who needs your help. Please take a look at your television screens. This is Oriana Rochelle Bryant, just 17 years old, missing out of Bowman, South Carolina since the end of October. If you see Oriana, pick up the phone, make a call, make a difference, 911, 1-800-THE-LOST, or you can call the Orangeburg County Sheriff's Office in South Carolina. That phone number is on your screen right now. Let's see if we can get Oriana to a safe place tonight. Don't go anywhere. We have another hour of live true crime. Vinnie Politan Investigates is next. In the meantime, please don't forget to hug the kids.